Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alex and I'm a Customer Success Administrator here at Charity Digital. I'll be your host and I'd love to give you all a very warm welcome. Please introduce yourselves in the chat and let us know where you are joining us from. We'd love to hear. Firstly, just a quick intro to ourselves. We are a UK registered charity and our mission is to help charities increase their impact by being more digital. And we do this in two main activities. One is providing access to software products charities need at dramatically reduced prices where we can. And the other is publishing content, articles, podcasts, videos, etc., and running webinars like this and other events like our Academy sessions that educate charity professionals and volunteers on how to make better use of digital tooling and tech. So today, our session is on AI for charities and what leaders need to know with Mike Horton and Andy Graham from Click IT. The session is perfect for charity leaders, decision makers, and anyone responsible for shaping organizational strategy or driving innovation. Attendees can expect to learn three things: how AI can simplify day-to-day operations, the real-world applications of AI in the charity sector, and how to identify within your organization how you can benefit from AI. I just want to share a couple of house rules and pointers for the session today. The session is being recorded and will be updated to watch on demand within about a week or so. The slides and other resources will also be made available during that time, so don't worry if you've missed anything. Closed captions are available for today's session. To enable these, at the bottom of the Zoom window, click the up arrow, and next to that, to show subtitles, and then you can click closed caption if you guys need to. During it, please ask loads of questions. We love questions, and it's great for the Q&A section at the end. It's like the Q&A section is also located in the Zoom menu bar for the Q&A at the end. If you do ask a question and other people resonate with it, the best thing everyone can do is upvote the important questions, because then we can prioritize those. So be sure to do this if you see a question that you really feel is important and you want to get behind. And finally, if you encounter any issues at all, also just post that in the chat and we'll do everything we can behind the scenes to straighten it out for you. So without further ado, let me hand over to the wonderful Andy and Mike.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for the intro. And just to clarify, it's Adam, not Andy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Adam, no problem at all.
Apologies.
I've heard him called many things, but not Andy before that anyway.
Quite often it's Graham, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate the intro. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining. So as Alex said, today's session is AI for charities, what leaders need to know. So I'm Adam from Click IT and I'm the MD. This is my colleague Mike. He is our head of business development. AI is transforming how charities work, from daily admin, fundraising, reporting, and more. AI isn't a future thing, it's happening now, and charities that adopt it smartly will thrive. If you're not thinking about AI, you could be falling behind. Today, we'll break down what leaders really need to know, no jargon, just practical insights, as well as a demo of how you can use Microsoft Copilot to help you today. Many tools are easily accessible and either free or discounted for the third sector. AI isn't just for large organizations. It's already helping smaller charities save time and increase impact. Understanding how to start and what to watch out for is critical. Listen for one idea you could take back and try with your team today. Let me know in the chat what's one thing you would like AI to do for your organization, and I'll come back to those shortly. So as I say, we are Click IT, and we are a managed service provider with over 20 years experience focused on the not-for-profit sector. We offer IT support, cloud solutions, cybersecurity, and telecoms tailored for non-profits. We work closely with the likes of Charity Digital, providing their IT support, and many other industry experts and partners in Akivo, Charity Excellence, and Charity Connect, supporting over 350 organizations UK-wide. We understand the budget pressures, limited time, and unique needs of charities. We're not just an IT help desk. We are helping you build a smarter, more secure organization. And events like today really will help us share our knowledge with you and the sector. So enough about us. So AI is everywhere, but which tools and platforms can help your charity? We've picked some key players that our team and clients are using: Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Grantify, Canva, and Charity Excellence. Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini are the big players. These are known as large language models for writing, problem solving, research, and productivity. Microsoft Copilot has a slight edge as the paid model can integrate directly into your everyday apps, Outlook, Word, Excel, and Teams, giving you the ability to summarize emails, generate meeting notes, and create presentations based on your data and your information. But what other tools are available? Grantify is an AI-powered grant application platform, breaking down intricate grant applications into manageable steps and providing real-time drafting assistance. Really powerful. Canva is great for design work, websites, social media, and you can actually build a website in Canva and create it and launch it today. Charity Excellence has a number of AI tools built into their site to help you find funding pots, write bids, and get charity-specific real-time information and advice. Try some of these tools out and see which ones suit your team's needs, and then pick one tool that really fills a real need and try it with your team. It's a great way to get started. So how are charities using AI today? Here's some of just what's possible in the sector. AI is helping charities analyze impact and report outcomes, boosting fundraising campaigns with predictive insights, enhancing supporter engagement with through personalization, improving social media reach and content generation, streamlining grant applications and research, and identifying donor patterns to support strategic decisions. These aren't future ideas. Small and large charities are already seeing results today. Think about your biggest admin headache or your slowest process. Could AI help? So what are some quick wins with AI? Let's go back to my first question at the beginning and see what ideas you've got, and we'll see if we think that there are some things you can do. So just looking through the questions here.
There's lots and lots, that's the good news.
Which is great, which is really what we wanted, to help you collaborate and be involved. So again, supporting communications, helping write external comms in charity style. Yeah, that's a great point. So when you said their charity style is really, really important. And one of the things that Mike's going to show you later is how to build an AI agent. And you can tailor those agents to speak in the language and tone that you want to use. That's really, really important. Social media with nuanced information, talking therapies. Yeah, so again, that's a great one. Especially with social media, it's really powerful because you can use the AI tools to create specific content for each individual platform. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whichever you're using, it will create the data that you need and how you want it to work. Let's have a look at some other ideas here. Becoming an assistant I can rely on. Well, assistance is possible, but you still got to check the data and do that sort of thing. I wouldn't say it's going to replace a human personal assistant at this point yet, but maybe assist you in writing out funding bids, grant emails, that kind of stuff. Improving efficiency, 100%. Looking through your emails, telling you what's important. You can do that in Microsoft Copilot, and trying to summarize long email chains. That's the one that I love. My favorite one that I use all the time is summarizing meeting notes. So even for meetings I haven't been to, I'm using Teams Premium on Microsoft Copilot to get those notes together for me and summarize what happened in the meeting so I can move on and just pick up those great bits of information without having to sit through an hour-long meeting. Looking at other grant-making charities, how we can streamline grant-making. Yeah, so again, Grantify is a great tool for that. And which AI is best. Yeah, and that's something it's more trial and error, I'd say, in terms of working out what AI is best. I mean, there are some immediate actionable steps charity leaders can do today. Practical, accessible, and ready to implement. Writing a donor email in 2 minutes instead of 20. Drafting a volunteer policy using AI. Saving time without the legal jargon. Summarizing your last board report in 5 bullet points. Using AI to brainstorm campaign notes for your next fundraiser. Generating tweet ideas for an upcoming event. And asking AI to review things like grant applications or policies is a really good way to summarize data and get that to them. They're things you can do today, very little technology required. These tools are the easiest tools in terms of IT that have been around for years. So simple for people to use. You just need to get stuck in and give it a try. You can't go wrong. So we're going to go to AI prompting. How do we use these tools? So the better your prompts, better your results. Everyone here is a fantastic Googler. We've all been using Google for probably 20 years plus, and we're really good, but Google's very much a summary. It's not precise, and we really need to be precise with these models. giving context like you're speaking to an intern or a trainee for the first time, giving much more information than you would do to a Google. So Microsoft have come up with their prompt coach and this GCSE method, which can help improve quality. So the prompt coach is a feature within Microsoft Copilot, and it's free, and it's within the free version and the paid version. It's a tool that can help you craft better prompts. So it will give you tips as you're writing your prompts to creating more accurate and useful messages. And the GCSE method, again, a really good one to learn. So you define what you want the AI to achieve. You provide context and background information, so what your charity does and what you do. Specify references, data, and formats to use, and then clarify the response format, so style, length, so whether you want it to be a blog, an email, it might be content for a webinar, a presentation. So telling it what you want it to do, how to achieve it, and giving it all that context is a really good way of doing that. Better prompts save time, reduce errors, and give you more useful outputs. And again, later on, we'll show you how to do some agents where you can give it all of that information in advance, giving it all that context about your organization potentially, so that you can provide the best responses quickly as possible. And teach your team this GCSE method. Simple, effective, and it can boost confidence as well. So what are the risks to watch out for? So I saw some of those in the chat already, and we'll go through some of these today. So obviously AI tools often require access to your data, donor information, grant records, staff details. So using AI without understanding its data handling can lead to GDPR breaches and loss of trust. If you upload personal data into AI tools without the right permissions, that's a big problem there. AI learns from your data, but data can reflect things like social biases and societal biases. So always review AI outputs for fairness, especially in sensitive areas like safeguarding and service delivery. AI is a tool and not a brain, so over-relying on it can lead to errors, poor decisions, or loss of a human touch. For example, if an AI summarizes a report but misses key details relevant to your funders, this can damage your reputation. And there's ethical concerns. Using AI without clear guidelines can lead to unintended consequences. So don't rush in blindly. You do want to try these things, but make sure if you're going to be using it with your data, you know that you're doing a risk assessment and creating maybe like a basic AI checklist for your team, things they should and shouldn't do. Review the tools you're using and make sure they align with your data privacy and GDPR policies. It's really, really important. Governance as well. So AI tools rely on the data you provide. So support info, grants, project emails, reports. Some of these AI tools process data temporarily, which is a great new feature such as ChatGPT, while others may store it for training or service improvement. The type of data shared depends on the tool's terms of use. So do try and review these if you can. You can ask the AI to tell you about its terms of use and review it, and ask it whether the data is protective, whether sensitive data will be stored. That's a really good way of finding out the rules and finding out what you should and shouldn't be doing. Ensure that AI tools meet UK GDPR standards. Although we're outside of Europe now, we still continue with GDPR, so it's really, really important to make sure you're meeting those standards. So be cautious when entering any personal information or sensitive data into AI systems. It's something I would really, really be concerned about if you're doing that. You should really look at how you're doing that. Read the AI tool's privacy policy. Where is the data stored? Who can access it? And how long is it kept? Make sure they align with your policies. And Microsoft Copilot has a slight edge, as I said earlier, as it processes your data within Microsoft 365's environment. So it's safer than the free AI tools that might store data externally. It's keeping all the data within your Microsoft 365. So if you're using supporter or beneficiary data in AI tools, get explicit content, be transparent in your privacy notice about AI use. Choose tools that give you control of the data storage or retention if you can. Set out rules for when and how you will use it. Include ethics, data protection, processes, and human oversight. If you don't already have an AI policy in your organization, we have a free sample AI policy available. We'd be happy to email it over to you after the session. Just let us know in the chat and we'll get that over to you. So cybersecurity is more important than ever with AI. AI is being used by sophisticated cyber criminals to enhance social engineering, target nonprofits. AI tools can create highly convincing but completely false information that can harm your organization's reputation or mislead your audience. Imagine a fake article or a social media post falsely accusing your charity of misusing funds. Without proactive monitoring, this could spread very quickly and cause significant reputational damage. AI can generate fake videos and audio that look and sound incredibly real, often mimicking leaders or spokespeople. I recently had one of these on a webinar I did, which was a fake avatar of myself, showing you how easy it could be done. But imagine a fake video of your CEO being created to solicit donations or fraudulent account activities, undermining trust in your organization. And in terms of phishing scams, AI can craft highly personalized phishing emails, entire scam campaigns tailored to target your organization or supporters, looking at your CEO potentially or other members of your organization and learning how it can do that. Imagine an email that comes from your charity requesting donations or sensitive data, and AI uses these scams, makes them much harder to detect and more effective. These examples show you why staying ahead of the curve in cybersecurity is critical as AI technology evolves. Make sure you are regularly reviewing cybersecurity practices with your IT partner to protect your data, your team, and your organization. It really is important. Social engineering is the #1 thing that we are seeing as a problem, and AI is making that incredibly easy. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Mike. He's going to give you a short intro and over to the demo in which he can provide you a bit of how you can be using AI in some of these tools.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, lovely to see you, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I've been just watching the chat entirely because there's been so much good stuff going on in there. Obviously, lots of people want the AI policy. We're more than happy to send those over for you as well. So we'll gather all that up after the session and make sure everyone that's asked for it gets it. There were some really good questions actually around, and I know we're not in Q&A time, but I think we'll have enough time anyway. So a couple of questions around environmental concerns that I just wanted to quickly answer, just with a little bit of information. So we're a Microsoft partner. We work with a lot of other organizations, but specifically with Microsoft, we've done a lot with their Copilot team. So Microsoft have committed to be, if I remember rightly, carbon negative by 2030, even with their current implementation of Copilot and the amount of output that's giving at the moment. So carbon negative by 2030. And Adam, you were in the room for this, and I'm trying to think now. We were talking to Chris from the Sec for Social Impact team there, and I'm pretty sure he said it was either by 2035 or 2040 that they would have effectively undone all of the carbon damage they have done since the start of Microsoft in 1980, whatever it was. So it's phenomenal, the input, and I think this is massively important. I'm glad people are raising it. We're B Corp certified, so it means a lot to us. We've gone through a lot of work, and it really does matter to us about this kind of environmental impact. It's another one of the reasons why I really like the Microsoft environment. I must admit, I haven't checked any of the others. I'm more than happy to go away and have a look and let everybody know afterwards. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see sort of what OpenAI's policy is, what Google's policy is on Gemini. But I do know I've sat in the room and Microsoft have confirmed. And in fact, go away and ask your Copilot, go away and ask your ChatGPT what their environmental impact is and what their current stance is on it, because I think it's a really important question to be asking. Okay, so you can see on Adam's screen at the moment, there's some examples that I wanted to run through, and actually some of these were being asked in the chat already, which is really good. I wanted to start with helping you apply for grants, apply for funding, respond to funders, and people that you've got projects with as well. So if I quickly grab my screen over, hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. I'm going to face that way, so don't worry, you're getting my good side, but I'll look on that screen and show exactly what we're doing. So if I do replace current share, and I'm going to pop you onto this screen over here. There we go. Hopefully you should be able to see my Microsoft Copilot. Can you see that ad? Is that coming up okay for you? Yeah, excellent. Good stuff. All right. So hopefully everyone will be familiar with this. I'm going to just stick with Copilot. You can do a lot of this obviously across the different platforms. What I really like about Copilot that Adam mentioned already is we can work within our Microsoft tenant. Now, there's an argument even within Click, actually, there's an argument in terms of output, whether ChatGPT is better, whether Copilot's better, whether Gemini is better. Personally, I use ChatGPT if I'm doing a lot of text-heavy writing and don't need any input from an agent. I just want to go here, I've got the nuts and bolts of what I want to say, help me make it look really good. If I want to reference documents or work within Teams or work within Word and Excel, etc., then Copilot's the #1. And obviously, I can't see that ever changing unless I'm completely wrong. I don't think OpenAI or ChatGPT is ever going to be able to be built into your Office apps now. Microsoft have got this. So I would expect that we will see probably ChatGPT as the early leader in terms of quality, and Copilot will catch that up and probably eventually overtake it, I would think. So what I wanted to show you, I've got some documents here as well. I've pre-built, done a little bit of is it Blue Peter or Art Attack? Here's what I made earlier, something like that. So I've pre-built some documents. So if I want to start off with bidding for grants, for example, so I'll show you some documents that I've pre-built ready for this session. All I've done for bidding for grants is build this Poor Prince of Hope mission statement. Completely made up charity, but I really like the sound of them. They help rescue at-risk and unsafe dogs within Kent. I'm a dog owner, I love dogs, so I thought I'd go down that route. If I open this up quickly and just show you some of the content that's in there as well, just so you can see. Obviously, it opens up on my other screen. That doesn't help. So all of this was built, and all of this was actually built with ChatGPT, if I'm being honest, but I then want to use it within Copilot. So as you can see, it's given some graphs for me, a nice little picture, which I've used there as well. Just a bit of information, mission statement on the organization. So nothing hugely specific. It's gone away and found some stats actually around rehome dogs within Kent, which has been really useful. But I just wanted something to sort of help me with a starter, really. So what I want to try and do now, and I did catch someone's name in the chat, actually, I missed it. Oh, in fact, it might have been Julia Roberts, or that might have been because I remembered it because of the film star. Maybe that was the environmental one. So apologies if it's not Julia. So what I want to look at is building an agent now that can help me answer bids based on what we do as an organization. So if I go to create an agent on the left-hand side, in fact, sorry, I'm jumping around, but I'll quickly show you. Adam mentioned the prompt coach earlier on. There's quite a few coaches now built into Copilot, which you can use. You can find them if you go to all agents, and you'll be able to see, well, I've got my agents here, but you've got all these ones that are built by Microsoft, which you can add, even in the free version, you can add into your Copilot. And it's really going to help you learn how to use it, be specific around some of the prompting that you're doing. Things like learning coach. I don't know how many times I put in there about learning the piano, and I still haven't done it yet, but I will do one day. So definitely add those. The prompt coach, especially if you're new to this, as Adam said, we've spent the last however many years getting really good at Googling. Prompting is slightly different. You wouldn't say to your colleague sat next to you, pink elephant, and expect them to know what that means. We want them to be able to go, okay, what's the context of that? So really what we want to do with prompting is give as much context on here's the information we're giving and here's the output that we expect you to give us back as well. So I suppose what we're doing with the agent side of things and building in this kind of helpful tool for us is giving it even more context. So instead of just saying pink elephants, and instead of saying find me information about pink elephants, what we're doing with an agent is saying, I'm Mike at Click. I'm doing a demonstration of Copilot. I need you to go away and find some pink elephants. So I'm pre-building some of that context in for myself and for my colleagues as well if I want to share it out. So if I go ahead, start building an agent. So let's have a look again. I've done a little bit of a Blue Peter and sort of pre-done some of the prompts just so freeze rather than watching me try and type out badly. So what I want to do to this agent, I'm going to use the describe section. We can configure it in a really not basic, actually, it's more granular. It's a bit more advanced to configure it, but I like to do describe. So I'm going to tell the agent in very basic English what I'd like it to do. So I'm going to say, help me answer questions we are given from funders and partners as part of grant funding bids for our charity, Poor Prince of Hope. You should take the question I give you and referencing our mission statement document and other examples of previous funding applications that we've done. I'm going to pop that in. What it will probably then do, changes slightly every time whenever we're using it. It'll probably come back and ask me some more specifics. Is there any length that I want to know? Any particular language it might ask me as well, how I want it written. So let's see. Excellent. So it's given me a name already, grant funding assistant. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to say, oops, that's fine. You can say please. I do say please a lot. We were talking about this beforehand, and I do try and be, I was doing, well, helping another customer actually about half an hour ago. I do try and be a bit more specific and try and be nice for when they eventually take over. Here we go. So yeah, great. Now let's refine the instructions for the grant funding assistant. First, what specific tasks should the agent perform when interacting with users? For example, should it provide detailed answers, summarize information, or guide users through the application process? So what I want to do now is give it even more context around the type of information it should be giving me back. So it should answer the question concisely and specific to the requirements given. For example, if the question asks for the information, for the answer to be no longer than a specific length. And then the final step that I want it to do, I'm probably going to be pretty happy with that now and see what the output's going to be. I want to be able to give it some information. As you can see, it's pointing to data sources here. So what I want it to do is point to a file within SharePoint. So I'm going to go to the configure section here. you can see all the information that I've put into this has already started to build out some of these advanced sections as well. So I've got a description on what the agent should be used for, some of the specific instructions that I've given it and the tone that it should use. And obviously I can go in there and put British UK spelling if I want to, or French or Chinese, depending on who I'm working with. But that's fine, I don't need to do any of that. So what I want to do is use the knowledge section. So knowledge section will be able to reference either a website or a SharePoint document or an Excel, Word, whatever it might be, all within this agent. So if I want to, let's say, for example, I think one thing we've launched here at Click was an agent for our employee handbook. So if I went to go on the employee handbook, if I wanted to find it, first of all, it's probably going to take me a long time because I've no idea where it is. But secondly, I want to be able to go, what's our maternity pay? What's our maternity situation? And it will go away and reference that file and be able to give me fully the answer that I need from there. So I'm going to give it our mission statement. If I can, in fact, yeah, no, I will do it that way. Let's see if I can do. Yes, I can. That's excellent. Files. Going to stick me in there. No, it is just going to keep me in there. Maybe I'll go back to describe. There we go. I'll navigate down. That's easy. There we go. So that's the mission statement document. So it knows all about me now from this agent. All the information that I need to give it, everything that I need to tell it should be within here as well. You can generate some starter prompts. So if you're a user and you've never used this agent before, or even if there's a specific thing you want it to be talking about, you can click on these again to start you off wherever you like. But what this is doing, you'll see in the top right, is now auto saving everything that I need it to do. So I haven't created this yet. I'm still playing around with it, generating what it can do. So all of the information is already there. I'm just going to check because I think we've got some, maybe it's under impact reporting. Yeah, here we go. So there's a couple of other files that I wanted to give. It was actually in the wrong folder. That's why I couldn't see it in there. I saw someone say, I mean, I've had a lot of conversations about this actually, and a lot of organizations say we answer the same information over and over again when we're doing funding bids. And obviously that's one of the benefits of this is actually giving it a lot of context around what you've done before. Got it in the wrong folder, but I've got some examples here. Again, these are made up examples, but what I've taken is some genuine funding applications that are available online. I've put them through my Poor Prince of Hope glasses to say, right, now give me an answer based on if it was this organization. And these are some examples that I've done before. So I want to give this, see if it will let me do all of these. I want to give this now, not only who we are, but also some examples that we've done before as well. So now we should be ready to test it. If I give it, these are genuine questions as well that again, I've grabbed from other applications online. So we're auto saving up here. There's nothing else I need to do. I don't need to create this or publish it or anything yet. I can just have a play around with it. Let's see if this is going to work. It's the beauty of live demos. So the first question I'm going to ask it is, what specific problem are you addressing and how do you know this is a priority in your community? So that was a genuine question that I'd seen on one of the applications for funding. Just give it a chance to go away and have a look at those documents and then hopefully give me a fairly concise answer back. There we go. So it's looked across those documents that I've already written and it's looking across our mission statement. So it knows about us as an organization as well. And it will go away and give some concise answers. So obviously now I can query that. So although I've given the initial question of what that was, I could say, make it no longer than, that's probably too many, 250 words. I would highly recommend if you go down the agent route, test the hell out of it. Do this over and over again. Make sure that it's going to give you the output that you want. Be really specific if it's not giving you the output that you want as well. As I say, exactly the same as you would with a colleague. We can really drill down. The other thing I wanted to do actually, if I give it a quick question. Just so you can see that it's not the same information over and over again. How will the grant funding be used and what measurable outcomes will it support? Minimum 300 words. Now in the mission statement, I went through it quite quickly, but in the mission statement that I opened, there is a mention in there around what we're trying to fund for so either 2025 or 2026 for the next sort of 12 to 24 months. So what it should do is go away and find that information, and then obviously answer this within that concise way that we want it to. Here we go. And obviously the other thing I can do in this situation, I can say to it, no, I don't like bullet points. Get rid of the bullet points, or add more in, or summarize everything that you've said at the end, because I want to make it really nice and easy for the funders. The other thing I haven't done, I mean, I've given it one question. What you could do is give it the context for the whole document. So, obviously particular funding funding or grants that you apply for may be looking for a particular answer, and therefore match that even better. So rather than just grabbing that question out of that document with no context, give it the context of the document, and then run through each one of those questions, because it will customize the answers and help you write those. As Adam said as well, and I think someone mentioned in the chat, it's an assistant, not a pilot. You do want to read through and make sure that this is correct, first of all. Make sure it's within your tone of voice. I mean, that's one thing that we haven't done here, is upload a tone of voice document for our organization. But that's a really good way of building an agent that you can then share out. I can create this, publish it, share it out to the rest of my organization. You can drop agents now, if you're using the paid for version of Copilot, you can drop them into Teams as well. So if you're in a Teams chat or working within a channel on a particular project, let's say you've got a few colleagues that are working on this funding application, I can actually add this agent to my Teams channel chat and ask it questions within the chat as well. And even better, I think I saw this mentioned earlier on about permissions. It might have been Clive off the top of my head, might have mentioned about how permissions are really important. If you're asking the agent for something that somebody else can't see in the chat, it will prompt you and say, are you sure you want to share this? So-and-so doesn't have access to this file, so this isn't currently public knowledge, whatever that information might be. So that's building an agent. Just quickly, Ad, is there anything you think I need to cover on that? I'm going to carry on. Obviously, there's a couple of more examples, but is there anything else that you would add, change, show that I haven't covered already under that?
No, I think that's really, really good demo, Mike. And the one thing I would say, obviously, so these agents and creating these agents is within the paid version of Microsoft Copilot, but they do make a huge difference when it comes to providing the context and saving you even more time, because you haven't got to explain every time what your charity is doing, what your outcomes are, what you're trying to achieve. So, for the cost of, and I think a charity license is just under £20 a month, if it can save you an hour, 2 hours a month, then, it's well worth looking at these agents, and you can build them and share them with your team as well.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. So there's some slight changes to this, rather than it being, so anyone, I think, over a business basic license or business standard license and above with Microsoft can build agents. You can build them for yourself. So if you as a user want to be able to create these and reference them, you can build them without needing any paid for license. What you pay for is the knowledge sharing. So because we need a Microsoft 365 Copilot license rather than Copilot Studio, we need a paid for version if you want to reference the documents like I have here. But all of the rest of this stuff, actually, I could build as an agent just for me and start using it. There's no issues with that at all. You can even upload documents, tell it to use that as an example, and it will build an agent out of that, and you can use that. It might be a good time, actually, I'm wary of time, but just quickly, you might have seen, this is something that Microsoft's been pushing a lot more, which is Copilot Studio licensing. So without needing the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you can apply what they call a tenant-wide license for Copilot Studio. So what that gives you is the ability to build agents, again, without this knowledge part, but without needing to license every single user. And then what happens is every time someone uses that agent, you get charged a penny for every message they send in. So every time they ask an agent, you get charged a penny, and you can set up a pay-as-you-go billing policy. The message pack that you get included with the Copilot Studio, which for charities, again, is around about £40 a month, gives you 25,000 messages a month inbuilt with that. So it's really good value. But to be honest with you, I would start off building agents in Copilot using the chat just for you. If you think they're really good to share, then, or you want to start referencing knowledge points like we've mentioned here, then obviously you can get the paid for version, as Adam said. If you want to start sharing it with colleagues, then it's worth looking at, am I going to need to build an agent like I have that references SharePoint documents, in which case they're going to need a Microsoft 365 Copilot license as well. If I don't, but I just want to build an agent that references, like I said earlier on, our employee handbook, for example, sorry, not employee handbook, something on a website, something that's publicly available, but we just want it in a condensed place that they can easily query the agent, then all you need there is the Copilot Studio licensing. You don't need the 365 Copilot.
I was just picking up, obviously. Yeah, why you set the next one up? obviously a lot of people in the chat have been talking about things like fact checking and citing where the data is coming from. So I'm going to completely agree with this here. 100% you need to fact check.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that Microsoft says over and over again, it's a co-pilot. It's not autopilot. It's not doing your work for you. It's creating information for you or putting information that you need in a format that you can quickly check, edit, reference. You need to know your information. You need to know your data. Obviously, you need to know how your charity works and what you're trying to achieve. You cannot use it to do your work automatically. You can use it to make your work faster, but definitely needs to be fact checked. You know, I would never trust it going away and getting data for me and me not checking it. So that's really, really important. And in terms of citing, yes, again, that is important, but it does actually, both in ChatGPT and Copilot, pretty much cite the reference sources automatically nowadays. So you can click on, there's like there was a link, so you saw it in Mike's agent a minute ago at the bottom. It referenced a couple of the documents where it got the information. So the citing data is almost built in nowadays. Obviously, you can specifically ask for that, or you can build that into your agent. But yeah, it's definitely important to cite sources and check the data. You know, this is not doing your work for you.
I've got it
This
back
is
here. You can see the references there.
Yeah, this is a co-pilot, not an autopilot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will get better eventually. And again, the more you refine these, I wouldn't say launch them day one and they're good forever. The more you refine these, the better the agents will get, the more specific they will get. And even with things like adding your tone of voice documents, all that tone of voice information gets to even know you as an individual as well. I just wanted to quickly show, because again, unless you're using the paid for version, you may not have much experience of this within the Office apps. So what I wanted to quickly show, again, this was another one that I've sort of invented, which was the Paw Prints of Hope 2024 Impact Report. I wanted to grab out some information around the impact that we've had over the last few years, some highlights, the year-on-year performance as well, some stories from the community, so just some examples of where we've helped people and obviously helped some of the dogs that we've rehomed, and then some new initiatives, financial overview, and some information around volunteers and things as well. What I then want to be able to do is probably present this to trustees, because that's usually a good example of where we can go with it. So I close that down. What I want to be able to do, just got a blank PowerPoint open here. There's nothing in this currently, nothing I'm doing with it, is click my Copilot button. And what you'll see, and again, I know I'm sticking with Copilot, but it's built into a lot of the apps, so you'll start to see it if you're not seeing it already. They're trying to make Copilot visible everywhere, so you'll start to see it popping up a lot more, especially if you're using the Office 365 apps. So I want to create a presentation. I'm going to reference a file as well. So I'm going to reference my 2024 impact report. I'm going to give it a little bit more context. See if it's happy to take my context. There we go. So I've given it the impact report, created a presentation about this. I'll be presenting this to our board of trustees. Oh, it started already. Oh, I can't beat it on the scroll. So let's just wait to finish. There we go. Yeah, so content and the notes should be written to that audience. So, and this is really good as well. I'm gonna generate this and just see how this comes out. So this is headed up, giving me slides and everything else. And again, this is going to give me a lot of the content. Not necessarily going to say the visual output's going to be great. You might still need to use Designer within PowerPoint to make it look better. But while it fills this up, what it will do is organize the information for you. And I'll show you in a second, it will also add notes to the slides as well for you. So it'll again, contextualize what it's seeing on the slide and therefore how you might want to present that back to the board.
One of the things, just going back to the question about fact checking, etc., is, you know, if you're creating these agents, and as Mike said, testing is really, really important. And, you know, again, even creating a presentation here, you need to be someone in the organization that knows the data in order to verify that it's accurate. And that's really important. I wouldn't create one of these or have one of my junior members of my team do this and be, you know, sending out information or social media posts or whatever it might be if they didn't know the organization. I'm going to make sure someone who knows my organization is checking the data and making sure that it's relevant to us. And that's really, really important. And this is the same here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it looks a lot better than I thought it was going to, because it doesn't usually add in that nice pictures, but this one's done pretty well. So as I say, without needing to add much context to it, what it will be able to do, that's obviously the front page. So it's going to give me an overview. It's giving me some notes on what to say as well. If I keep going down to some pages that have perhaps got a bit more information, let's see what we've got here. It's not giving anything on that one. yeah, a little bit more information on the organization here. Obviously, the impact report that I've given it didn't have a load of information because it was invented just for this demonstration. But you can see it's done a pretty good job of putting some starting point together. And I think a lot of this is what we use it for, not so much on the presentation side, because we have a really good marketing manager that helps us put some glossy ones together. But certainly when we're talking about putting together information that we're presenting, or prompts for, even for things like blogs and things like that, sometimes it's just that kickoff point that you need. Like, how do I start this topic? How do I start the information of where I want to go with this? And you can, I won't, but you can continue to refine this as well. So I can keep going and ask Copilot whatever I like. In fact, I'm on Empower now, so if I go to Copilot over here, it will probably give me some prompts on other ways that I can improve this. So well, I can summarize it as well if I want to. I can add a slide about whatever I like from the impact report. So anyway, we've spent enough time on PowerPoint. So that's a really good way you can grab information from a Word document, chuck it into a PowerPoint presentation. It'll be able to spin up a PowerPoint presentation completely for me. The last one from me, which most of you would have probably used already, but again, this is sort of a nice way of using it within the apps, is around policy writing. So I know there was a few people that had asked for that, and actually I didn't even think of using it to write an AI policy, but that's probably not a bad idea. So well, I'm going to start off with one that I looked at already. So again, within Word, I've already got my Copilot prompt up here already. So what I want to do, if I describe what I'd like to write, oh, it's kicked me off. Let's do it there. So I want to write a lone working policy suitable for our charity, for Prince of Hope, with outreach staff who visit vulnerable animals and users' homes and need to stay safe in sometimes threatening environments. Feel free to reference, and I've copied it in, but I'm going to just quickly do that. Our Poor Prince of Hope mission statement. And what I want to show in here, in fact, if I open Copilot at the same time on the right-hand side here, is firstly, I've given it not a huge amount of context. Obviously, I've pointed at a document so it knows who we are. I haven't told it how to lay this out or what information I want to include, anything like that. And it can go away and give what I think, and I'm happy to send some of these around if anyone wants to fact check me, will be a pretty good example of this. And obviously you want to customize this to either specific roles if you need to, or specific situations, or even, obviously customized to your organization across different teams as well. I can add images into this. Obviously this is a policy, so I don't need them. But the other one that I wanted to show, which again, probably be pretty good for lots of different organizations. I'll start a new one here. Is slightly longer in terms of the prompt that I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it a bit more information here. So draft a data protection policy for our charity based on UK GDPR requirements. Make it suitable for a small organisation with under 20 staff and write it in a clear, plain English style. This document needs to be signed off by our employees to ensure they have read and understood what we're asking them to do. So have a section at the bottom where it can be named, signed and dated by the employee reading it. Our all details can be found in, and again, I'm going to just point it back to there. I'm sure you're all fed up of Poor Prince for Hope by now, so apologies for that. So that was, in terms of Adam's GCSE slide that he showed earlier on, I'm not bigging myself up, a really good prompt. I've given it all the information that I need, the reference points, how I want it to output, the information that it should be including. Obviously, I've pointed it to another document, which you don't need to do, but for this instance, I wanted to give it some more information about us and about me. And then down the bottom here, we've got an area that the employees, if you want to, you can add in signature fields, you can add it in as a table. I can customize this. So actually, that's a good point. So rather than a table at the end, I want a line where they can physically sign with a pen. So what it should do is go away and give me the information again, but also add in the slight contextual change that I want there. Let's see if it can do it. Excellent. There we go. Yeah. So that will now be, with some refinement again with Copilot. So spending some time to take a read through. Does it cover everything you need it to? You can be system specific. So I could have said there, we also have systems like Salesforce in place or QuickBooks in place or Sage. Make sure you're including these when you're mentioning how that data's stored, and it will go away and contextualize some of that information for us as well. I
Yeah, and
realize
just
I
to add
spent
to
a lot
that,
of time. So go on. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say that again. So, I imagine sort of questions are going to be like, well, how do you know the data protection of the policy is accurate? So again, we're drafting a policy here, and it's using information that it knows and information based that it's found. But then what I would do in this scenario is ask my IT professional to check it. But what you're doing is you're saving loads of time and potentially money in saying to your IT professional or your compliance or legal team, create this policy. You're saying, I've created this policy. Can you refine it? And that might take them 1 or 2 hours, not 10, 12 hours, whatever it might be, to create a brand new policy. So all of these things that we're doing, it's about, using, common sense to say, well, obviously I don't know this is accurate, but how can I find out if it's accurate? I can draft it and ask someone who knows to check it. And again, that goes back to the whole Copilot scenario.
I saw someone else again earlier on in the chat when you were first talking that mentioned I will create something in ChatGPT and ask Copilot to cross-reference it, or vice versa. Again, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I bet if you keep going back over and asking Copilot to coach itself, it will constantly get better and better and better with the responses. And again, I'm not giving it a huge amount of context in what I've said here. I'm wary of time, and I'm sure we've got some questions on there.
Yeah.
So if I stop sharing, shall we jump in and do?
Do you want to
I don't know
do
if you've been
the last
taking a
bit
look at the
about
Q&A.
getting started, or?
Sorry, yeah, that's you. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I've got some. There we go. That was me getting too excited about the demo. Let me close some of this down. I'll reshare because we've got some slides
Still got a
just
couple of
very
minutes,
quickly. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. There we go. I'm glad you're here because I'd have completely forgotten about that one. So yeah, as Adam said, how can you get started? So there's a couple of things we've mentioned already around the prompt coach and things like that. And again, just sort of start using it. I think again, it might have been Clive or someone I saw in the chat mentioned earlier on, which is a really good point. Before you start using particularly through Copilot for 365, make sure your data security is shipshape. We do not want to be in a position where people can see documents they shouldn't be able to see, things like that. So, I mean, it's a good thing you should be doing anyway, because you want to make sure that your SharePoint environment is obviously up to date and as secure as it needs to be, and people can only see the things they want to see. But in terms of getting started with AI, so start small. We've obviously given some examples that you can use, and a lot of that was within the free version of Copilot and ChatGPT. It's similar to that as well. So choosing the right tools, I think really for me, it's about looking at the problem you're trying to solve, not what the tool can do. So again, I've looked at the sort of 2 examples that we've talked about here. If you're looking at writing reports, if you need to be able to reference your own documents, if you're interested in using it within the apps like Word and Excel and PowerPoint, then obviously Copilot's an obvious one. If really you're looking for more of the text-based, so helping you to write policies, helping you to, well, and anything really that's just text-based that doesn't reference specific files, then I think ChatGPT is pretty good. And actually, most of our team tend to use a bit of both. Obviously, in anything that's confidential or restricted, we will use within Copilot. Anything that isn't, we're looking for a bit more help on, perhaps it's writing a blog about some of the business premium license changes, then we would probably use ChatGPT for that. So train your team, and again, we've got these lots of resources. Adam and I have done quite a few of these now around AI, and we're obviously happy to put more on for people as well. So if there's anything that you need specific help with, but making sure that the team are using it and not afraid to use it. And again, this might be where the AI policy comes back from as well. And stay flexible. Make sure that you're testing, not just sticking to Copilot, not just sticking to ChatGPT, that you're using both across the board, and really start thinking backwards, like I said, on rather than, well, I've got a Copilot license now, what can it do? It's what methods and what processes and things do we have in place in our organization that I think could be better and more efficient, either for the individual doing it or because there's no one at all doing it at the moment, and we want to put something like this in place. I think the sort of semi-final one for me, I'd really recommend going to have a look at these, particularly if you're interested in the Copilot side or obviously ChatGPT as well. Microsoft, and it's free, have a Copilot scenario library, and they have specific scenarios for not-for-profits on their website that are already out there using it and how you can use it too. Some of those I've shown you here already, but there's lots more that I haven't covered already. That's a really good place to start, and that's a really good way to share with your team as well. Just do a quick search, Microsoft Copilot Scenario Library. And again, ChatGPT Academy is going to do a lot of what that prompt coach, I think someone said, did they have their own version? They do. That's going to help you learn a bit more how ChatGPT works, what information you should be passing in, what you shouldn't be giving it as well. So that's really good if you're looking down the ChatGPT route in terms of security and things like that. On to the Q&A.
Thanks, Mike. That was really, really good. And I appreciate you giving that little extra bit at the end, because getting started is really, really important. So you've got some questions here. One I've noticed is, how do small charities who work directly with people keep the personal information safe? That is really, really important. I think we touched on that quite a lot in terms around data and data protection. It really, if you have got GDPR protected data, I would really not be using any of the free tools to look at that data, to share that data with it. That data, at worst case, it needs to be anonymized. And if you do need to try and get to access that real data, you should be using a paid tool like Microsoft Copilot. So the data is already in 365. You can use Copilot to query that data, and within GDPR, it will be protected because the data stays within your Microsoft 365 environment. But that is a paid feature to query that data. Using any tools outside of your 365, I would not be doing that. It's something I definitely wouldn't be doing with any of our staff or client data, definitely. And even being very cautious with that data, even within 365, I would be cautious. But definitely, even if you can anonymize it, that would be a great way of doing it. Just looking at some other questions here. Don't know if you've got any, Mike.
Yeah, there's a good one actually. I've only just jumped back in the Q&A, so apologies if I've skipped anybody. I see one from Gail, which was a bit earlier on, which was what makes you nervous about implementing AI. I think that's a really good one because a lot of people might be holding off starting with their organization. So with the clients that we see, so AI in itself, AI transformation, AI consultancy, isn't really something that we do at Click. I mean, the only reason that I suppose arguably we're ahead of people is because we've started using it. And what we have done is put in place really early on some very clear demarcation points, like Adam just said, about the data that we share with it, where it's used, how we use it. I think more specifically than that as well is contextually, people in your organization, there's a very good chance they will already be using it now. So getting out there and telling them what they can and can't do with it, and how how happy or not happy your organization is for them to be using those tools, is massively important. And again, circling back to what I said earlier on, specifically if you're using something like Microsoft 365 Copilot, make sure that your permissions are up to date, because if people go in there and start asking questions they shouldn't, there are some that it will block. So if I remember rightly from our chat with Microsoft, it will block things like, what's my boss's salary? Regardless if you can officially see it or not, then that will be blocked by the AI. But there's certain probably ways that you could ask that a different way that it might be able to give you that information. So those are the things that make me nervous. It's organizations that jump in too quick to using, some of the paid for tools where they can have access to your data, and people who are sharing information with those tools without really thinking about, what am I putting into this and where is it going?
Yeah, that's really good. I think one of the questions I've got here is about image and copyright of images. So we'll say that the images on ChatGPT are kind of watermarked, so you can't see the watermark. But if you try to use, for instance, an image created on ChatGPT and put that on LinkedIn, it will actually say this has been created by AI or ChatGPT when you try and post that. So you are allowed to use those images, and they're copyright free to use, but they are being watermarked kind of digitally, that they are created by AI, so that people can see that. And that's really, really important. When people say, I think someone said in the chat earlier about what if it looks just like someone? Well, you can prove, because there's a digital fingerprint saying that it was created by AI. So that's there is evidence built into the digitization of the image that does that. So it is interesting that. And if you try and play around using ChatGPT creating images or changing images of people, of genuine pictures, it won't let you do that. I've actually tried to say, take away this person, move that. It won't actually do that with images. It's actually against policies, and that's the same with Copilot. So they do have quite strict image policies built in, especially around changing existing images. And when it's creating images, is digitizing and watermarking them to make sure that people know that AI generated, or could at least prove that they are AI generated.
Yeah, there was one here as well. Well, I've lost it quickly. David asked actually, which is a really good point. So please specify the key differences between what capability is free and what requires a paid license. That really does depend on the type of platform. But I mean, if we stick with the two biggest, which is Microsoft 365 Copilot and ChatGPT, from a Copilot side of things, it's around those agents. So it's where they can link into your data. The free one that you get it obviously has very basic functionality, but you can still use it how you would the kind of free version of ChatGPT. And it's where it appears in the apps. So being able to use it in Excel, in Word, etc., all of that is within the paid for. So where if you've got Microsoft 365 Copilot, you know it's specifically looking at your 365 environment and accessible and usable in there. With the ChatGPT side of things, if I remember rightly, there's limitations on what you can do with agents on the free version and how many times you can use those. So Adam, for example, could share an agent with me that he's built in ChatGPT. I think I can only use it something like 5 times a day within my free version until I have to become a paid user. There is also access to different models, so the speed at which it will respond, or if you're asking it to do, make me a film trailer for Paw Prince of Hope, for example, the movie, then a lot of that is actually restricted within what ChatGPT can do unless you go for the paid for version. I think Google Gemini is probably very similar to Copilot, so it's how it can speak to your data as well, and whether it can see inside of your Google tenant, your Google environment as well.
So another question here has been with some fears associated with AI resistance to using it. How could we help introduce AI in a way that beneficiaries of charities aren't even more digitally excluded? So that's really, really important because making sure that they're not excluded and they've got full access to the tools available and have got confidence to use them is a huge part of the tool. And that's why we're here today, is to make sure that we can help the sector move forward. So attending things like this webinar today, there's a lot of free content available with us. I'm sure Charity Digital have the same, and there's a lot free on the Microsoft websites, looking at that sort of thing. But what we've done and what we've suggested to a lot of our clients is to try and see if you can create see if you can get someone within the organization to be an AI champion, because we are all humans and we learn best from humans, and that's the best way of doing things. So we've done it here. We've got a team of AI champions that we're working with internally, and I know other charities have done the same, and they have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 people that are using the tools, playing with the tools, and then using their knowledge and their information to upskill the rest of the team. And that's really the best way I've seen of it coming out to the team. It's about taking the people who are sort of confident or mildly confident or interested, upskilling them, and then having them upskill the rest of the team. That's really, really important. But yeah, attending things like today, having your team review previous webinars that we've put on or similar webinars from other organizations is a great way for get people to start using the tools and get people confident in using it.
Yeah, again, there's another one here actually. I think got asked a few times, which was around how are organizations tracking environmental impact and cost. So I know Microsoft, for example, and obviously I've mentioned them a lot, so we work with them a lot. They do an annual impact report. They have done for a very long time now anyway, so you can see how they're tracking that and what they're doing to, I suppose, to prove their worth in terms of that carbon negative as well. I don't know with OpenAI, but I'm going to ask because I'm very interested to find out. I'm very much in the Copilot camp more than ChatGPT, but I'd be interested to see what they're trying to achieve on that side of things. And again, Google have published their own impact report every year as well. Lots of information on there that you can find out. Because again, a lot of these organizations, people like Google and Microsoft, have had large environmental impacts for a long time with their cloud solutions as well. So although we are seeing a much larger ramp up of their resources with things like Copilot and Gemini, they've had a huge amount of carbon impact over the last few decades in what they've been doing. So all of that information can be found on there, which is really good. But yeah, I'm glad it's come up a lot more actually. It's something that maybe we could probably do a totally separate session on and how you can really track your usage. In fact, that's a good point. I think pretty sure in the admin portal, you can see your Copilot usage and the environmental impact that it's had. And then they have started to publish kind of direct result of their impact and what that carbon negative is going to do against it as well. So that's really useful to see. I'm not sure if you might need to be an admin to see that though in your tenant.
Just running out of time, there's one more question I just want to answer, which is about, does AI incorporate voice information so you can talk to it rather than creating huge documents? And yes, so both Microsoft Copilot and ChatGPT, and I believe Google Gemini as well, will have a voice interaction model where you can speak to it. It will speak back to you. You can have a conversation. I often do this at home. I use it for cooking meals and asking about ingredients and how to do things. It just sits there talking to me while I'm doing something. It's a great way of doing things on the go as well. You can kind of go through some ideas you might be having in terms of how to do a marketing campaign or how to put together a bid, and it will give you some ideas of how to do it. And you can just talk back to it. It does look a bit silly if you're on the train talking to yourself, but hey, I've done it. Why not? In terms of time, I think Alex, we're probably quite there or thereabouts. But appreciate everyone's joined. We do have a lot more content coming up, and I know probably Alex does a Charity Digital as well. But do follow us. We have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, or you can go onto our events page on our website or onto our YouTube to see the other content we've got available. I think we're hosting 3 more webinars this month on various topics. And one of the things we're doing, I think it's probably in August now or late July, is actually creating our own AI champions team with other charities. So what we're trying to do is put together like a roundtable of about 10 to 12 organizations that we can work with and spitball ideas with them, that we can all kind of come up with different solutions and then publish those ideas. And it'll be a more of a working group. So if you're interested in that, do let us know, because we're going to try and sign up to people that are already using AI. So it's not going to be us teaching. That'll be taking people that are already using AI, and we'll be part of more of a interactive group to kind of work on ideas together.
Thank you so much, Andy and Mike. That's really great. It was a fantastic webinar, and thank you so much for jumping right in with the Q&A and answering all the wonderful questions. So yeah, and thank you to everybody who asked loads of questions and interacted in the chat. It was really lovely to see, and yeah, thank you very much for coming, guys. Our next webinar here at Charity Digital will be on introducing the Charity Digital Code of Practice, and it's on Tuesday, June 17th at 1 p.m. and we'll pop a link in the chat for you there. We also have our up-and-coming Reimagining Service Delivery Summit, and that's on Thursday, June 12th, where we're going to explore how we can provide more collaborative service delivery, and we'll also pop another link in there. Finally, you can share your feedback. I believe the link was already in the chat on this webinar and how you felt, and yeah, just once again, thank you very much for coming, everyone.
Alex, I think there might have been, just quickly before we go, there might have been I don't know if it might be going on there already. I might maybe have missed it. We're doing free consultations for anyone that's attended as well. I'm not sure if you had the link. It's not letting me post it for some reason, but if anyone does need any help with their IT, they can book a session with us. But we can always follow up. I know that all this goes out by email afterwards, so we can always send it round then.
We'll definitely make sure to include it in the email afterwards, and yeah. Sure that everyone would love to have a consultation with you guys too. So great. Thanks for coming, guys.
Cheers, Alex. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
See you soon.